I said a short prayer and led him the 10 or 12 paces out into the yard, where he was at once bound to a stake. I whispered in his ear, "Safe in the arms of Jesus." And he repeated quite clearly, "Safe in the arms of Jesus." The acting Provost Marshal motioned me away. In 3 or 4 seconds, the firing party had done their work. Poor lads, I was sorry for them.
From the Diary of Field Marshal Haig, Wednesday, 9th January, 1918. I lunched with the Prime Minister, Mr. Lloyd George. We had a very cheery party. Conversation turned to the length of the war, and some betting took place. Derby bet the Prime Minister 100 cigars to 100 cigarettes that the war would be over by next New Year. Lloyd George disagreed. I said that I thought the war would be over because of the internal state of Germany.
By now, the war had become one of attrition. 2 armies going nowhere, each attempting to wear the other side down. It was Germany that broke first. By the middle of 1918, after a series of debilitating defeats and the loss of nearly 3 million men, its army was in retreat. Thousands of weary soldiers were surrendering daily.
Lost, stolen or strayed, 2 Huns. Appearance, fed up and miserable. Peculiarities, hunger and a dislike of sudden noises. Will Finder please communicate with the umptieth Division, Muddybrook Alley, and he will be suitably rewarded.
What a ghastly business this whole affair is. But on the other hand, what a success it has all been. The Boche are simply giving themselves up in hundreds.
The Germans have left any number of booby traps behind, most of them intensely practical. They put a splendid helmet out for someone to pick up as a souvenir. Directly you touch it, off it goes, or rather the bomb inside does. You go down into the cellar and put your foot on a step, which sends off a mine. In another place, we found 3 empty coffins, labelled "For Tommy." How the Boche would have laughed to see us.
November the 11th, 1918. The Huns acknowledge absolute victory of the Allies. Armistice brings 4 years' slaughter to an end. It was the greatest, gladdest, most wonderful day in British history.
It was 4 years since the war had begun, to the sound of drums and cheering crowds. Years in which the landscape of Europe had been torn and retorn apart, for no territorial gain. Years in which 10 million young men were killed, millions more were maimed, and the lives of a generation were devastated. "4 years and 14 weeks after the killing had begun, it was finally all over.
It wasn't like London, where they all got drunk, of course. No, it wasn't like that. It was all very quiet. You were just so dazed that you didn't realise you could stand up straight and not be shot.
For the first time, we marched in silence. A half-hearted song quickly died away. Perhaps for the most of us, there were too many memories and too many ghosts.
There were not more than 2 or 3 of us left that had seen it through since the commencement, and ours was supposed to be a lucky battalion. I expect we'd pulled off a 20,000 to 1 chance.
The better times. Editorial. We cannot say that the majority of us took to soldiering kindly. But now that it's all over, and we shall soon have our civvy clothes on, the reversion will be tinged with many regrets. Though some may be sorry it's over, there's little doubt that most of us have been cured of any illusions about the pomp and glory of war. and know it for the vilest disaster that can befall mankind.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow.
Between the crosses, row on row.
That mark our place, and in the sky.
The larks still bravely singing fly.
Scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead.
Short days ago we lived, felt dawn.
Saw sunset glow, loved, and were loved.
And now we lie in Flanders fields.
If ye break faith with us who die,
we shall not sleep, though poppies grow.
In Flanders fields.
My father, Lieutenant Lionel Ferguson, writing in 1920, to those who in years to come may ever read these notes, please remember, none of us regret our experience, but we have had our bad times. We have formed never to be forgotten friendships, but for the first time in our lives, we have known the meaning of hunger, thirst, dirt, death, and other privations. We, I think, have all known the meaning of fear as we had never before seen it. We who went through it know that those at home never did realize the work that the soldier was asked to do. Those who talk of the next war are people who never suffered in a frontline trench. For never, never again will those who have come back advocate another war.